Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. It is the midweek edition of the program and today our conversation is going to be actually on latest developments at the Central Bank of Nigeria. As we know, there's a new CBN governor designate, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. And so on the program today, we're going to be setting our own agenda for Mr. Emefiele and being joined on the program by a research associate at BGL, Femi Ademola. Femi, good morning and thank you for coming in this morning.
Good morning.
Now, a lot has been said about the CBN governor designate, Mr. Emefiele, and most actually say he's a low-profile conservative figure. What are your thoughts on Mr. Emefiele?
Yeah, I think, like you said, Mr. Emefiele is a low-profile guy, a very conservative man, and I think a CBN governor.
Why? Why is that?
Because I'm saying now. Let me just say, in terms of Nigeria, let's start from the fact that the previous, the previous two governors, one was an academic, the other one was a banker. We believe that maybe they have their own different impact, but we're not so very comfortable with the way they handled. Professor Soludo did all his best. He did some consolidation, which, well, I don't agree totally with how it went. He left. Somehow he could have had it another time. Now we had Mr. Sanusi, who had another different approach to it, probably reversing almost half of what Professor Soludo did and left. Now we are having somebody who is an academic and a banker. So he's probably combining the two roles together in terms of experience. And now he now has a profile that suits, well, some renowned central bank governors that we have known. If you look at Ben Bernanke in America, the immediate past Fed chairman, he wasn't known for public speaking, or too many knows about it. Apart from the fact that he was an academic and he was the chairman of a Federal Reserve Bank of, I think, Arkansas or something, before he became the Federal chairman.
Even Janet Yellen is not giving so much to talking.
To talking. I'm just even looking at the other one that are very popular. Yellen is just there. We don't know what she will become eventually. But, I mean, Ben Bernanke was there for quite a long time, and we know what he did. Another person is Dr. Melvin King in the UK. His own was so bad to the extent that people used to look at his body language, his body movement to see the way he moves his eyes, the way he moves his hand. Does it mean that he's actually hungry? Does it mean that something will happen? That's the kind of thing you want.
A chess player, so to speak, so that or poker player. So you don't know expression, nothing. You don't know his next moves.
Which it helps the market. It doesn't send some wrong signals, and then anytime he says anything, the market reacts to it immediately. And because of that, because these people are very powerful. In fact, I must tell you that there was a discussion in the U.S. saying that who is actually more powerful, the Fed chairman or the U.S. president, the kind of power that he has. So because of that, he cannot give to just saying things, anyhow, or making some statement that could disturb the market.
But then that's also bad, no? Because you see, at the end of the day, when if such a person like we have now, a poker player, let's call him a poker player, where you don't know what he has in his deck before he drops it, wouldn't it give the market the kind of impression that, look, you can't just make any decisions anyhow because you do not know what the CBN governor is going to likely say?
No, the point about it is this: you know their leaning, you know their school of thought, you know their past experience. Right now, what we are saying about Emefiele is that we don't know what his leaning will be, as a CBN governor. No, we know the kind of person he was.
Yes,
he's a conservative person. He would, for example, now I know what he has done in Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank remain a very conservative bank. They don't just take any aggressive risk. So the sense that when he gets to that place, if he's going to focus a little on banking supervision, he'll be probably more of, hey guys, be cautious in any risk taking you are taking. Be cautious, make sure you don't do that and everything. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't take risk. The only thing that it takes calculated risk.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying that he's coming from a background of being a regulated to a regulator.
Is that what happened to Sanusi?
Well, yes.
No, what happened to former older Sanusi too? He was formerly the MD of First Bank, and he was later, after he has retired, he was later a CBN governor, and he did well. There's nothing wrong in that. The point about it is that we even need to try it out. Yeah, we didn't get it as much as we wanted in Sanusi. Maybe we can get it in him. There's no big deal about it. The most important thing about it is that he has that comportment. He has that demeanor of somebody who can play a good role. Now, let me tell you this. I'm not saying, for example now, as much as Dr. Megan King can keep quiet and doesn't talk, as much as Ben Bernanke does not talk until he go to Senate and give a 6 month account, people can preempt They can decide what they think is based on figures. All you need to do is just look at it. One thing Sanusi has done very well is that he has made the MPC very transparent and very clear. We know their leaning, we know their thought process. We can decide for each of those MPC members what they're likely going to vote about. We know the indicators. Mr. Emefiele has said the same thing. I'm going to try to make sure that the Naira, I defend it as much as I can. I'm going to make sure that interest rates can come down so that I can help growth. I want to make sure that inflation can come down, right? Now, if that is the case, then we can look at it. As this data comes in now, where are we in inflation? Is it down on the way that he's talking about, or is it still up? Is exchange rate as stable as you want it to be? So what action do we think you can write? Then theories, we use theories. For example, now, almost all of us believe that the last MPC, the exchange rate should be depreciated. And the reason was very clear. The market is responding in a different way to it. However, the central bank governor, the central bank have more data. They have more information than we analysts will have, especially in Nigeria. So they are able to tell us that, yes, it is true that we are seeing this kind of pressure on the, but the reason for it is more of reaction to the tapering. We all know that. Then, but so surprisingly, that is about seasonal demand based on dividend payment. That one is a little bit controversial, but I won't delve into that. But most important thing is that they have the data. So I'm going to call them some slack. So now, we expected that. It didn't happen because they have more data. So the same thing is going to happen when it comes to Mr. Emefiele. It's not that we won't be able to predict him, not that we won't be able to preempt him, but he won't go to be saying things in the news or making comment that could cause instability to the market. That's it. So what those people doesn't do, what people they don't do, is that they don't make statements that could disrupt, something you can call careless, or the kind of statement that might say, is that what he's thinking? Out of the box, that's it. When he finishes his MPC, he will vote. Once we see his first, second one, we see how he makes his comment and everything, then we can predict him going forward.
Yeah, no, during his confirmation hearing at the Senate, he actually said he wasn't, his first step is going to be not to devalue the Naira.
Yes.
But a lot of people are actually feeling like, the Naira should be devalued. If not devalued, then maybe a redenomination should actually happen.
No, I don't agree to them. See, he's right about not devaluing immediately. It's about it that you don't go out there and say, hey, what I'm going to do just to devalue. It has to be condition, it has to be situation that will make it so. Now, again, like I keep saying, a lot of people look at it, and the greatest challenge, even from the foreign investors, whether direct investor or portfolio investor, is that, look, this era that we have is more of a fiscal problem than monetary problem. And it's a shock, which is maybe, I'm saying that it's just a reaction, a speculative reaction that, look, if the oil price is as high as $100 and you guys are not accruing your foreign reserve, then there's a problem. If you guys are claiming that your revenue is not coming to your foreign reserve, then there's a problem. Therefore, immediately, the next thinking of those guys is that in order for you to protect, their own case is that you have to protect your foreign reserve, right? Protecting your foreign reserve will mean that you have to stop this kind of hemorrhaging of the reserve by allowing some wider band. Therefore, once we allow a wider band, because what we see, that many people see that they say, okay, this guy is likely going to adjust the band, or adjust the midpoint.
But all of this, you see that is happening. It's putting more pressure on our external reserves, because as of this morning, it's down below $37 billion, and it's been depleting steadily.
Like, for example, now, I have done something, well, let me say we have done something in BJ to look at what is the adjusted foreign reserve that we have. At the time, Mr. Sanusi said we have about 20 billion in hot money. So hot money means foreign policy investment. Those are the ones that can quickly go and come back. Now, as at now, they have reduced to about maybe 13 to 12 billion. If you back down one half of what we have left, we are still going to have about 26 billion of foreign reserve that is ours, that cannot be immediately moved that way. Now, if you read the last MPC communique, it said that they can see some opportunity for accretion into foreign reserve. They can see more revenue coming into it. The oil price is still strong. In fact, the trouble in Crimea now will make the oil price to go up again more. We've always have peace in the Middle East, yes, peace in the Middle East, which has been driving the oil price up. So what we see is that there is opportunity for us to have stronger revenue. Now, we need the fiscal policy here to help us make sure that whatever revenue leakages we have are checked so that we can accrue that. They might be right that this is just temporary. Now, one thing I want you to know, again, is that monetary policy is a short-term instrument. The fiscal policy can say, okay, this is what we are doing for 1 year, and they get approval for it and everything, and it is stopped. But you can use monetary policy in between to help you yourself out. Now, at this moment, based on the data available, based on the situation available, the CBN and MPC believe that this thing is not yet out of control. We can still manage it. Give them a slack. Now, they still have another meeting to have in the next 2 months, not up to 2 months anymore, maybe the next 7 weeks.
Next month.
Now, not next month. It's going to be, next month and May. So there's the next 6 weeks to 7 weeks. Now, but it doesn't mean that they cannot call any special meeting if they feel, although that's not good for us because it looks somehow. But the fact remains that they can defend it for the next 2 months. And if they find out, again, that there are now some genuine demand for it that is outside of what we thought is speculative, then they might adjust. It's very simple. They can even decide to adjust the policy band to, okay, plus or minus 5%, or plus or minus 10%.
But how does all of this affect business? Because in spite of the fact that we're import dependent,
Yeah.
we also have to remember that we've got domestic businesses to think about.
Yeah.
And we also have to think about credit to the real sector.
Good.
So how does all of this affect?
Exactly, and that's what he was very clear about. He said, I'm going to make sure that I focus on development economics. I'm going to make sure that I speak to all the stakeholders to help access to credit to the manufacturing sector. Because one, we need to diversify. Forget all this whole money thing. We have to diversify. If we help the domestic, like you said, the domestic productive sector, and we're able to export other products, there's some other sources of foreign earnings that will not probably affect the all money that all of us are depending on. And he has said it. Now, one key thing that I think he could do, he doesn't make it clear. The three prices, the most important thing, exchange rate, inflation rate, and interest rate. He said we are going to try all our best to ensure that interest rate comes down. Now, how do you do that? One thing I believe, which a lot of research reporters have supported, and even the CBN itself said it, even during Mr. Sanosi's era, that they find out that the inflation in Nigeria is not a monetary policy phenomenon. It's not a monetary phenomenon. It's not a liquidity phenomenon. It is more of a structural phenomenon. And what do you mean by structural phenomenon? There is no infrastructure. There's no power to help this productive sector. There is no road to help them. There's no water to help them. If you sort out power and sort out road, do you know how much thing you have sorted out? Agriculture right now contributes about 42% to our GDP and is growing for mere 5% or 6%. If they have power, they can use more advanced machinery to cultivate and harvest. They can store, they can process, make sure that all those things they do not spoil. Then if there are good roads, they can transport those things easily to the market quickly before they get spoiled. What you find out right now is that half of our yield, they perish in the farm because they can't even get to the market where they are sold. So now, it is not about the money available that is causing the inflation. It's the fact that there is little supply that get the market. Now, if only about 50% of the yield in the farm get to the market, you want to eat yam, you want to eat yam, everybody wants to eat the same food. We're going to go there and buy it. Even with our small money, we must eat now. So the next thing you see is that prices will start going up, and then inflation will start going up. All these things that we're seeing, moderation in inflation now, if you read the MBS report, is because of bumper harvest. Even the MPC said it in their communique that they're expecting moderation in inflation because of the expected bumper effects in agriculture. So tell me something. So why not focus on the agriculture and help it? Yes, we are doing seedling, there's transformation general in the agriculture, which is quite working, helping. But there's some other things that need to be done. Provide power to these guys to be able to store and process in that place. Provide access to the market so that they are able to take that into the market immediately. Or are we going to be buying the chopper to be flying our goods? We can't do that. So we need those routes to move things out. Once those things are sorted out, inflation will come down. And that's what he's trying to do now. That, okay, you know what? Once I start helping the productive sector so that they are producing more goods, then there are more supply to meet the demand. Once the gap is reduced, inflation comes down.
Okay, which also means that most likely we're going to see a continuation of tightening of policies.
We won't. If you say that you want to... Now, there are two ways to it. You can tighten policy in different ways. It depends. If there's truly excess liquidity in the economy, like we are made to believe, we have to find out where is this liquidity. Because if you are saying that there's excess liquidity and the manufacturing sector, the agricultural sector cannot access the liquidity, then there's a problem. That means liquidity is just in one sector, which is likely to be in the banking sector. Now, the CBN again, I said it again, that they find out that the use of CRR
we'll come back to that.
Has been more effective. It's part of it. It's
yes,
more effective.
It is. But you see, let's quickly take a break, and then when we come back, we'll take off from where you've actually started. That's a very, very key point, because yes, there is plenty of liquidity, and everybody is finger pointing, the CRR on the deposits, public deposits and private deposits. Anyway, you're watching this morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. We'll take a quick break now, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Please join us again.